Just to rewind just very slightly, because I know that there are some teachers out there who feel like, and I'm not one of them, but they feel like, well, we need to have this native speaker model, because if we don't have this, like, perfect sort of accent and the grammar like native speakers, then what we will do is we will allow chaos.
Chaos will not happen if the teaching has been good. I mean, one aims for intelligibility always. The question then is, does a local accent interfere with intelligibility? And if it does, then the student has not yet learnt the English language and the teaching has gone horribly wrong somewhere. But let's assume now that we've got somebody who is pretty fluent in English, but has got a pretty strong accent, a Spanish accent, Portuguese accent, French accent, or whatever. As long as that person is intelligible to me, I have no problem with that whatsoever. In fact, the intelligibility drive is present. So now it's the identity drive that I'm fascinated by. I love to hear English spoken with a Spanish accent, or accents, because of course the variety of Spanish accents is really quite extraordinary, especially in South America. I love to hear English spoken with a French accent. Why? But not just because it's delightful, but because it helps me identify who the speaker is. They are French. Fine. Well, that's what I need to know in order to develop a kind of sense of balance between us in having a conversation. In my view, there's only one type of person who needs to speak RP perfectly like a native speaker so that they cannot be identified as a foreigner, and they are spies. I imagine to be a spy, you probably need to have that kind of disappearing act in your accent. But apart from them, I don't see any reason whatsoever to aim to become identical to a native speaker. They are not, learners are not native speakers. They are foreigners, and I'm the same. If I'm learning French or Spanish or whatever language I've learnt over the years, then so long as I'm intelligible, I don't want to be a French person or a Spanish person. I want to be me, and I want my accent to reflect that and to let other people know it. And so that kind of climate of increasing acceptance, tolerance, and increasingly respect for different accents, I think is becoming increasingly the norm, although recognizing that there's still a great deal of conservatism out there.
No, I mean, look, I totally agree, but I also know that there are teachers out there who are saying, well, we can't just have people speaking with Spanish or French accents because, we need... It's that whole kind of, for me, it's a very almost a colonialism kind of attitude about, homogenizing the language and the people who speak it.
Yeah, people have to realize that there is no such thing as homogeneity in language. There is always variation, and as long as the variation doesn't get in the way of intelligibility, then it has to be respected first and then fostered, really, because these are markers of identity. And, the difference between intelligibility and identity is not just an intellectual difference. Intelligibility is for the head. Identity is for the heart. Who you are, which community you belong to, which community you're proud to belong to. You want to foster that at the same time, of course, as needing to be understood and understand other people who belong to the same language community. Now, the really disastrous thing in the attitude that you've mentioned is that in many language teaching schools around the world, I understand, if you're a native speaker of a language, you get paid more than if you're a non-native speaker of a language, even though the non-native speaker of the language may know more about the English language than the native speaker does. And if you ask me who I want to be taught by, do I want to be taught by a native speaker who doesn't know one end of grammar from the other, or by a non-native speaker who is very familiar with English grammar and knows how to teach it, I know who I'm voting for every time.